This was just some things I discovered along the way, upgrading from Blockly 11 and 12. So the render queue was one that changed, and that there was this really old code in App Inventor that did crazy stuff, pausing the rendering, I guess, because it was a performance issue back in the day. So the old code in Blockly would just, if this wasn't true, it wouldn't render it. So you could hold off on rendering and get everything in order and then render. But now that's solved with render queue. So we had this crazy code that was pausing the rendering when on a procedure block when you change the arguments, like removing the old ones, rebuilding the new ones, save the body input and put it back on the side. And when we upgraded, that caused all sorts of problems with blocks disconnecting and such. So now with that gone, because rendered now just means you're in an SVG workspace. Nothing doesn't help you with this, but the queue fixes it. Now we just have a move input before. And as long as you use the API methods, everything's good. You don't have to worry about rendering or init anymore, which was nice. So got to remove a lot of that. And this is some of the multi-select stuff. That was a little bit more complicated, but basically, blocks had these draggers, and that went away. So now, multi-select. Previously, it extended these block draggers, and iDraggable came along, and that made that. Oh, here's this. Sorry, here's the block dragger code. So yeah, it basically extended the block dragger, and it would have to call that on each top block. You don't want to drag the children. And yeah, now we have iSelectable moved to, that's not really important. The point is we got to iDraggable, and now that's what the Blockly code looks like. So our multi-select code ended up implementing iDraggable, and now it depends on that. And the cool thing with that was before we were selecting like arbitrary blocks for set selected, so it would just be one of the IDs. And now we have this object. So it got a little bit closer to like the truth for what we actually wanted. And that was for 11. And yeah, here we go. You can just see it iterating through the draggables and starting the drag. And then this is for 12, the focusable stuff. So this actually got a lot, I'll just skip along here, but this got a lot easier because we actually were able to kind of pull some of this stuff out. So this code here is just, anyway, I'll skip, that didn't go well. So yeah, this is just the focus manager. So what happened was we now have this like representation on the screen for the multi-select, which right now we hide, but the DOM needs it because it focuses it. So what happens is whenever we, now we have to create an element every single time, and then we reuse it. But yeah, those last slides weren't, I don't know. Okay, so yeah. All right, that one didn't, but this is more interesting. Sorry, I don't know what, I feel, oh, the order, that's what happened. The order was different than I expected, but sorry about that. So this one was interesting. This was we were attaching our workspace late, and it turns out now that you can use CSS to style the workspace, you don't want to do anything detached because this will fail. So the old code had a fallback, and we just relied on this. But when I upgraded to 12, we had to make sure that we attach later, still hidden. But the cool thing is now it just works with custom CSS, and we just had to move, instead of doing everything detached, we just had to put it in place hidden. So that's what this the new style. And so now we just had to move it and we're good. And then the last thing was the blocks paste, which is, we're still using XML, which hopefully I'll get to this at some point. But so to get the blocks out of the backpack to do a paste all, I can't use XML anymore in the new one. You have to use JSON. And I didn't want to add the blocks because, as you saw in the test example, if you just add them, they just pile up on each other. So what I had to do was I actually create a headless workspace, get the XML in there so I can get the JSON and put it into a copy data. And this allows you to use Blockly clipboard paste. So I think other people might run into that if they have a lot of old XML stuff still lying around. Yeah, that's that one. That one kind of blew through. Any questions? Or no? All right. That's all I got. Thanks. Sorry, they were a little bit intense. Oh, yeah, that was only 15 minutes. Sorry.
Yeah, and you were going to go 30 because you did too.
That was a mess.
This is great.
Sorry.
This is
Sorry
excellent for me, actually. So any questions, though, on either presentation? Yeah.
Since we're doing code, I was curious, on a lot of the materials related to rendering, there's information about render queues and this kind of stuff, which is complex with SVG for obvious reasons. But a number of the groups in here have been using block spaces that they allege are in the 10,000 range, which could make you hit accessible starvation, where the accessibility system slows down in relation to the render speed. It's a funny phenomenon that's been published on in the literature. Has anyone done a starvation test before and after the kinds of changes that are happening to see if that happens when the block sizes get high in SVG?
I have not. I haven't tested the accessibility. So I tested some large workspaces, but no, I haven't tested I guess the screen reader's coming in 13, so I haven't gotten there yet, unfortunately.
Cool.
But I'm not sure if Blockly people might have tested that, but yeah, sorry, I'm not sure.
You'll know it exists if it renders at normal speed and the screen reader goes slower than render speed.
Okay.
That's how you'll notice it, if it exists, which it may not. Well, food for thought.
All right, thanks. Any other questions? All right.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
No problem.